hope everyone enjoyed those fantastic conversations. I'm excited to have a couple awesome conversations of my own. First up, I am excited to chat with CG Chen, the founder of Ample Labs. Alex used a great word when talking about Bobby's first 1,000 cold calls. And Bruce, watch out, that cold call is coming for you. He spoke about being tenacious. And I have to tell you, CG is tenacious. I know that she is building Ample Labs. It's a startup with a mission to use technology to help with homelessness. But before Ample Labs, I have to say that CG's CV is dotted with impressive Toronto tech companies. She was a designer at Ecobee, designing IoT experiences. Before that, at Tulip, where she was designing software used by retailers like Frank and Oak, who's been on TechTO just a couple weeks ago. And now, tenacious as a community builder. She's caring about building a more inclusive, accessible, and equitable tech sector that includes the most marginalized and vulnerable. And she is on top of me all the time to let me know how TechTO can best help in their journey. She's hanging out with us at Best of TechTO. She's sharing the message over and over. She's even got a new Kickstarter. But look, it all started with her entrepreneurial journey with Shopify. Is that right, CG? Didn't it start all on Shopify?
Yes, it did. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. So I was a really bad student in my undergrad. I got kicked out because I just had really bad grades and I was trying to figure out what to do. And, I found myself selling t-shirts. So yes, that was the first
I mean,
business.
I got to ask, what kind of t-shirts were they? Were they like, I dropped out or I got kicked out or what was it?
I wish they were more motivational. So I studied graphic design at the time and I was just, yeah, I had met so many entrepreneurs actually while I dropped out and I was like, wow, all these people are really inspiring. They're very successful, very good at what they do. They didn't necessarily have a background doing what they did. So, I said, hey, if I could spread inspiration or spread motivation via t-shirts, why not?
I love it. And then of course you did a stint at Ecobee, you did a stint at Tulip. Tell me about how that journey ended you at Ample Labs.
Yeah, so good question. So after my undergrad, I was really attracted to tech and I'm like, tech is so cool. It seems like it's this world that is just able to make a huge impact. I was hearing stories about Airbnb, Facebook, and looking back, I think I was more drawn to the potential of impact that tech could have because, you've got millions and millions of people using it. So I remember kind of thinking about, okay, what is that? I wanted to work at Shopify. I got rejected. And then
Yeah.
I was like, what's the next? And then I was reading about Tulip and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So there's this, had this great successful e-commerce company and now he started Tulip. So Tulip is very fascinating. So I actually DM'd Ali on LinkedIn. I was able to get an interview and yeah, that was my
Do
first
you remember?
internship.
Do you remember what that original DM was? Like, was it a work of art? That cold
Yeah.
DM?
So I know, like Tulip, we're recreating the retail experience. And it's funny because
Yeah.
at school, I just finished a project. So literally the title is like Future of the Retail Experience. And hey, Ali, and honestly, I wasn't expecting anything, but within a few hours, I think he responded. He said, hey, I really like your portfolio. Let's set up a call and chat. And so I was like, okay,
Unbelievable.
cool.
Wow. You've probably just encouraged over 300 people to send a cold LinkedIn DM. So nicely done. Now, some people might not know anything about Ample, but when you started Ample,
Yeah.
tell us about the vision. I mean, it wasn't about selling t-shirts when you began it, right? It was about something deeper. It was more meaningful.
No, yeah. So I think at the time, working full time, had my tech job, super happy, and then just felt like, I want to do more. So really Ample began as a bunch of volunteers. We said, hey, we all work this cool 9 to 5, we're in tech, life is great, but we want to do more. So we started just volunteering time and asking ourselves, hey, what can we do outside of work? How can we contribute our skills? And, I think homelessness was, I mean, for me, it was actually from coming back from Skid Row and visiting Skid Row for the first time in Los Angeles. And I've, spoken to people on the streets here, but Skid Row was something I've never seen before. You've got rows and rows of tents. I spoke to mothers who raised their kids on the streets and it was just insane. And I met this one girl who had a nonprofit and she was essentially teaching people how to use their phones, use computers. And, she said, there's a great need for something like this. So I was so inspired. I came back and we just said, hey, is there something more we could do?
And has that evolved at all, like over the years that you've been building this, or has it always been the North Star and unchanged and fully focused?
Yeah, yeah, like I'll be completely honest. I mean, it started with a bunch of us in a condo room saying, "Hey, we care about homelessness. What could we do?" And we had all sorts of ideas. We even had e-commerce ideas, honestly. But we then said, let's really spend time with people. Let's go into the community. Let's listen to what the problems are. And probably for the first like 6 to 8 months, we did that. And it really wasn't until a good friend of mine who became homeless himself, and he was so close to me that I began to see all sorts of things. So he had a great job, was laid off twice in a row quickly, and so that led to him not being able to pay rent, and then dealing with an eviction, asking if he could essentially couch surf. And when we were dealing with his eviction, I remember, going on Google trying to, for hours and hours, what's next? What can we do? I just remember, as a designer, I'm so frustrated. There has to be an easier way to get answers. And so that was kind of where the idea of
So for people that are watching tonight, who've been inspired by some of the incredible talks that we've had, who are sort of thinking to themselves, hey, CG can do it, Bobby can do it, everyone here is doing it. How do I start sort of a venture that tackles societal issues? What 3 lessons would you give to someone trying, not about like a profit maximization startup, but trying to really start a startup and use technology to change the society for the better? What are the 3 lessons you'd give them?
That's a good question. I think the first is really spend time understanding, I think, the problem at a macro and a micro level. So we spent a lot of time listening to people, but we also did our secondary research. We found out, okay, how much does homelessness cost Canada? We found out 33 billions, okay, $33 billion, okay, 30,000 per person who ends up chronically homeless, and et cetera, et cetera.
So you found the
So do your
economics
research.
behind the societal issue as well.
The
Yeah,
problem,
yeah.
yes, yes. So we spent time listening to people, but we also, did our homework. So I'd say the second thing is figure out who's already in the ecosystem. And I would say we didn't do a good job of that. We kind of came in, very tech startup. Hey, we're gonna do this. We found out, hey, there's a lot of people in the community doing great work. So, how can we
You
enhance
didn't
or
need to
amplify
disrupt them.
or
It was
bridge the
about
gaps?
sort of how do you find partnerships and opportunities to manage all stakeholders versus trying to edge out stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's really important. I think, especially we're entering into a space where there's a lot of nonprofits and charity, and the idea of disruption is
yeah.
extremely uncomfortable for people. But, just also figuring out, are there gaps where we can actually come in and fulfill? The last I'll just quickly say is I heard the co-founder of Kiva speak, super inspirational. He said it's about the ecosystem and not about the ego system. And I really like that, right? Because your work is to enhance everybody else's. It's not about you. It's not about what CG or what Ample Labs can do. It's about how are we moving? How are we thinking about new solutions to homelessness? How can we amplify the work of others? So
Amazing. CG, thank you for hanging out with us. We know that a lot of people in our community have seen you at Best of Tech TO before in person. I know that you're always around using the hashtag on Twitter and helping grow. And I just wanted, before you head out, there's one thing I want you to plug. There's a new initiative that you and Victor are kicking off, and I want you to share with everybody
yes.
tonight.
Yes, absolutely. So for those listening, if you really want to contribute, we welcome you to donate to Food Fund TO. So Food Fund TO is a crowdfunding campaign we started. So we're amplifying the work of our local food banks. So since COVID had hit, food insecurity has become the number one problems families face. And I'm not sure if people know this, but for Black families, they are 3.5x more. They face food insecurity 3.5 times more. And in this volatile time that we're living in, we're trying our best to support our local community, and you can as well. So I think Victor and Jackie are going to drop a quick link. We want to help food banks deliver 30,000 free meals in the next 30 days, and we hope you can help us do that.
Do it. I know this community can do it. If you are in a position to give, please do give. TechTO is supporting it. I'm personally supporting it. So I think it's an amazing initiative. The goal is, I think, $30,000, which is, I believe, 30,000 meals in 30 days. It can be done. So let's rally together. I know that the link is going in the chat. It would be awesome to. It's not a Kickstarter. It's a GoFundMe, to hit that GoFundMe goal as soon as possible and help CG, the team, and of course, address the issues of homelessness in a way that's going to help today, but also support the initiatives that you guys are building over the long term. So thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us tonight, CG.
Thank you, Jason.
Take care.